All right, welcome everyone to the December 16th board work session. Our final meeting of the year, and actually our last work session before we sort of realign some things. We can start off by doing the Pledge of Allegiance and approval of the agenda. Whose turn is it? You did it to me?
I did last.
Tony, is it me? You mind? Yeah. Pledge and a prayer.
Father, in the name of Jesus, we come to you this afternoon thankful for another opportunity to do the business of the county. Father, we ask for your leadership and guidance this afternoon. Lord, just give us a heart for what we do, and I ask you to just give us the wisdom to make the decisions that we need to make. Father, for the families in Surry County, I pray that you would touch each one of them. Lord, as we go through the Christmas season, we know that some, Lord, they have a hard time through this season. I ask you to be with them and protect them and guide them. Lord, be with us this afternoon, and we ask all this in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, if you all don't mind, I know this isn't on the agenda, but I'd like to do just a brief moment of silence, if you don't mind, to remember Hayden from Pilot Middle. We were at that funeral yesterday, and a difficult time. Makes you, some of the things that you've got going on in life seem minuscule. So if you all don't mind, just for a brief moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, gentlemen, looking for a motion for the approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Hutchins,
Second.
second by Mr. Scales. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say likewise. Okay. First item, Mr. Atkins, calendar proposals for review for the 25-26 school year.
Good evening, good afternoon, board members. So I bring to you, I believe it was last Tuesday, the calendar committee met, and we were able to bring 3 draft calendars with you. I believe you have a link there to a document called 2025-2026 calendar draft highlights. I'd like to just run through that really quickly for you. We have draft A, B, and C. You'll see there are a lot of similarities in those calendars. Draft A, of course, has an August the 25th start date. Draft B is August the 11th. Draft C is an August the 7th start date. You'll see the Christmas break, spring break, the long weekend at Easter. They're all the same in all 3 calendars. You'll see the last day of school in Draft A is June the 5th. The last day in Draft B is May 22nd. The last day in Draft C is May the 22nd. You'll also see a little difference there in high school exams. Draft A, high school exams are January the 12th through the 16th. Draft B and Draft C, those high school exams take place before the Christmas break, December the 15th through the 19th. And then you'll see there's a little discrepancy there in the number of student days in each one of those calendars. With Draft A having 175 student days, Draft B 177, Draft C 179. Any questions about that document?
So we're using the hours?
Yes.
1,025?
Yes, 1,025 hours. We can look at, and we can do this however you want to, but let's look at Draft A, the actual calendar. You should have a link for that as well. And I'll quickly go through these and then see if you have questions surrounding any of these that came out of the committee. Of course, in August, you'll see an August the 25th start. September is pretty standard for Surry County schools with a holiday for Labor Day, and then we typically always had a required work day in September. October, you'll see that Orange Day, which was a required staff development, a required work day with no staff development. on that day. And then October the 10th, that light green day, that's a Surrey County holiday of All Those Weekend in Mount Airy. November's pretty standard with Veterans Day and the break for Thanksgiving. When you look to December, you'll see the first semester, or the last day before Christmas being December the 19th, and then the Christmas break. You'll notice in Draft A, the last day of the first semester is Friday, January the 16th, with the first day of the second semester being Wednesday, January the 21st. February is pretty standard. We have another one of those required work days with no professional development scheduled there. The spring break, those 5 light pink days in March, that lines up with Surrey Community College's spring break. It's a great benefit to our almost 50% of our high school juniors and seniors that take classes there. Another work day in March. Easter in 2026 will be the first Sunday in April, so you'll see a holiday on Good Friday and an annual leave day on Monday the 6th, which is Easter Monday. See the month of May with Memorial Day, the last day of school on June the 5th with several work days afterwards. Any questions about calendar A?
We have a parent-teacher opportunity in both semesters, and that's October
Yes.
9th and February 27th.
Again, those can be used for parent-teacher conferences, just
So I
like
heard
this
from
year.
teachers that was successful this year.
Okay. Okay, let's look at Draft B. Draft B, you'll see teachers come back to work August the 4th, with the first day of school being August the 11th. One thing to note about this calendar is the first week of school is a 5-day week, which we have tried to avoid in the past if we could. September, October, November all look the same, and December as well. The only difference there is the last day of the first semester would be December the 19th in calendar B, which would allow high school students to take exams before Christmas. First day of the second semester would be January the 5th. Those months look the same all the way down to May, where the last day of school would be on May the 22nd. Questions about Draft B?
Where's the exams, the 3 in red in December?
December the 15th through the 19th.
It's red, it's Christmas break.
The double percentage is the last day of the semester.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
If we turn to Draft C is a little bit unique. I don't know that we've ever had the first day that teachers report back on a Friday. But what the committee recommended, and the one change, originally this calendar had teachers reporting back on July the 31st. We did that several years ago. Typically haven't done that. But the committee wanted to move that to Friday, August 1st. So in that calendar, teachers would report back Friday, August the 1st. The first day of school would be Thursday, August the 7th. And then that calendar is going to mirror Draft B from that point forward. The advantage of this calendar is you're going to get a couple more school days in Draft C versus Draft B.
Sort of wade into the school year and then jump in.
Yes. And typically it's preferred over a 5-day first week for students to come back. And I think that's, all levels probably prefer that, but in particular, pre-K, kindergarten kids at the elementary school level prefer that first week for those students who are new to our schools. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Typically at this point, we would take these 3 drafts and let Ms. Lyons put them out for public comment. We are, as we said in the committee meeting the other day, we are transitioning our student information system from Power School to Infinite Campus. That's required at the state level. And Infinite Campus has told us that we have to have our approved calendar in the system by January the 31st. So we would, we have a timeline, I believe, linked there. We would love to bring this back to you after getting public comment for approval at the January the 6th meeting, if that's possible.
Were you able to look, after you and I discussed it the other day, of adding time to the school day?
Sure, I did some math. If you take draft A, Mr. Bledsoe, if you take draft A and go from a 6-hour day to a 6.5-hour day, that gets you to 500.6 instructional hours. Currently 87 days at 6 hours per day is at 522 instructional hours. You would lose roughly 21.4 instructional hours by doing that. You spread that across 4 periods. Bottom line, if you did go to a longer day, and I think it would be something we would need to consider, students would be in class from 90 minutes to 97.25 minutes. Because you take that extra 30 minutes, and if you divided it out over each class period in a high school, it would be 7.25 minutes, 7 to 8 minutes per class.
Is it feasible to add an hour or add 30 minutes, get exams done before Christmas and start by the state law?
In my opinion, high school teachers, in particular those in high stakes testing, would say that was not enough time for them to prepare their students.
Okay, that's fair. But I wanted to ask the question to see if it was even a possibility.
Sure.
Even with the added time, the amount of instructional days, if you take out exams, you're only looking at, is it around 72 days of instruction? I think it puts our kids at a disadvantage.
Okay. All right, guys,
So if we look at a combination of B and C and still try to keep our exams before Christmas, that moves first semester back to 85, takes second semester to 92, which is getting too far apart, I think. And the reason I'm asking, if we went back to the 13th versus the 11th, that gives us a Wednesday start versus a full week. And it gets us closer to the college start, which should be the 15th.
So you're talking about starting on the 13th.
Yes, the problem I have with the 7th is we're over a week away from college. And one of the justifications to do this is we won't line up for college, but we're starting 8 days before. So that's the only concern I have, but I don't like having 7 days difference in the first and second semester. So I don't know how you get around that because it looks really lean.
Well, and really, you could add days now. You could add, you could go to 85 days in the first semester. To add days in the second semester, you would have to go beyond Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, I don't like that idea.
We could do that.
Second.
We haven't done that in a while.
But I think we've talked about that, right? If we're gonna add, we're gonna take away days that needs to be in the first semester because you got AP and all those in the second semester. Typically, you don't want to shortchange those classes.
Well, you got ACT testing in the second semester. There's a lot more of that kind of stuff that happens in the second semester.
And you typically have winter weather in the second semester.
Yeah. Right, so you don't want to fool with it. But 85 seems awful narrow for me.
so you would like the hybrid B and C?
I'm just asking, would that be feasible? I don't know if because I've been a teacher and understand starting on Monday is a pain.
Well, you could take calendar B, and if you reduced it by 2 days,
Take it 85.
go to 175-day school year, that multiplied by 6 is, I think, 1,050 hours.
So it
Gives
gives
y'all a
about
little less to
25
play with remote days if you need them.
Just an idea, I'm trying to find a way to get us closer to, and I'm gonna talk about the law in a second before we move on, what I found out. And most of you probably have already, but I'm just trying to find a compromise to get us away from 7, but maybe all the way, but still have exams before Christmas. Okay, so how would we go about doing that? Would the committee have to discuss it again? I don't want to slow up the process of getting it out. What do you recommend?
Well, we could certainly do a draft D. And I could send that to the committee virtually, to do that without having to physically get them back in here to get I would want them to have feedback on it before we send it out to public
I
comment
was
as well.
probably too, I'd like to see.
Let's do the draft D.
With a 13th as a start date?
Yeah, like Mr.
Keep
Bradshaw
it
talked
safe.
about. And next year, let's start this September, October.
Okay.
That way, we don't have, 2 weeks until we need to approve it. Y'all agree?
And I understand that,
Yeah.
I do. And it's, in this infinite campus thing, that is a one-time, you know, once we transition, and they drop little nuggets on us all the time of things that we've got to do, in order to get ready to do that.
Yeah, I think if we do a D as a hybrid, like Mr. Badgers had talked about, I think that's a good compromise.
A D with an August the 13th start date. I can get that out to the committee tomorrow.
So really, nothing else should have to change, because we just shortened it by 2 more days and leave the spring the way it is.
Yeah, I'll just leave the spring the way it is and shorten it a couple of days.
And I'll tell you, I went to that committee meeting and listened, and it is overwhelming. The desire to have those exams before Christmas, and I get that. I really do. And I've talked with some people in Raleigh, and my whole thing was, I was concerned about funding. And I think you may share what I was going to say too, but I think if this is what the majority of the people wants, that's what we have to do.
What do you want to talk, go ahead and talk
No,
about?
yeah, no, you go
So
ahead.
before you do that, the last day would still be the 22nd?
Yes.
Still doing out for Memorial Day.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Really, the only thing we're gonna change is we're going back to start date.
Okay.
So based on the information I think we all got from Robert about some issues with the Elkin system, I went through and looked up the things they were talking about in their session the other night about setting their school calendar. Found this article in NC Newsline. It was copied also in WRAL and a couple others. Number one, they talked about the Elkin system, and you probably can help us with that. 85 out of 115 superintendents were at their conference a couple of weeks ago. Every one, I mean, not just the majority, but it was unanimous. Every school, every superintendent wanted a flexibility with the calendar, which means it was late. At the State School Board Association, which you were both at, I think, last week, they said there was 85 out of 100 that were there that wanted a late start or flexibility. So we're looking at 85% in these areas. And then I found this article, as commentator, but it's also factual. It talks about Leandro. I never realized Leandro had a component in it about giving the school systems flexibility. It's in the legislation. And what's been stayed, and Mr. Johnson's going to have to answer for us, what's been stayed since 2013 is the funding part. As far as I read this, full school flexibility, and it says that the state will adopt the necessary policies to allow school calendar flexibility to ensure that local schools can align with community college and university schedules by the end of 2022. I think the legislature is violating the law, not us. So that's why I'm so committed to one of those two that allows us to start when we want to, but nobody in law is even talking about this. Now, I understand Mr. Berger's son's on the Supreme Court now, and they may decide they want to change that, but this is the Supreme Court. We all know that there's legislative law and there's judicial law. Legislative law does not trump judicial law. Not to mention the 1.7 billion they already owe us. Now they're trying to get into our school calendar. So that's what I just want to make sure that we got that in consideration as we make that decision. It's our decision, not Raleigh's.
And it's in Leandro?
The actual title of it is Leandro Comprehensive Remedial Plan by a state Supreme Court judge that said, you're not providing an adequate education like our state constitution requires. So we're not violating the state constitution. They are.
I spoke to some people in Raleigh, and actually, of course, there's already been House bills to address to give local school boards the autonomy to create their own schedule. There will, in this next session, hopefully be a Senate bill that will be pushed forward as well. It may not get any legs under it, but, okay, I'm good with it. Anything else on that before we move forward? Thank you, Mr. Ackley.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I will be at the next one, I promise you, we'll have another meeting.
Okay, master plan architect updates. Mr. Dixon and Mr. Drone coming back in for this.
I think they are.
I know you all have had several interviews with architects. Give us the lowdown.
Well, we put together an RFQ. We had 6 applicants, and we interviewed all 6. Appreciate Mr. Badgett, Mr. Hutchins, Mr. Scales for serving on that committee along with Doug Dixon and Robert Drone. All were very qualified. All are honestly, every single firm could do the work. I think we've been looking for a firm to partner with, a firm that can help us develop and design the next phase for our 3 high schools. As we all know, this is very important work, and it's work that we're envisioning will take us for the next 5 to 6 decades, as the current design has served us well, but we certainly have outgrown it. Much of the facilities are in need of updating and repair. There's lots of safety issues, lots of ADA issues, so lots of need, we all know that. So, I think board members, you want to share anything about the process and possibly a recommendation with the full board today?
I think we had a pretty intensive process that we went through the interview process. As you mentioned, 6 qualified firms. And I think after discussion following today's interview rounds, it would be our recommendation to the board to select Little Diversified as the firm to work with and partner with to develop our master campus plan moving forward. They come to the table with a great realm of resources. All their engineers are in-house. And one of the things that I wrote down about them was their process of developing the master campus plan, listening, crafting, and elevating. Listening to what our needs are, what our wants are, crafting that plan, and that's with all stakeholders, and then getting buy-in and elevating it to the finished product. So it would be our recommendation to the board to select Little to be our architect for the master campus plan.
Okay. Anybody else want to speak on that?
I would say I agree. I'm sorry. They're all qualified, but I think we've got to find a fit. And I think we all talked about it, and it just seems like they're a great fit for us because of the way they went about it, and they were prepared, and they had some drawings for us. So 30 years in construction, I think I saw some good flags go up. Sorry.
I was trying to remember, how did they score on
On the initial.
the rubric? I was
I don't
just,
remember that.
I'm just
Number 2.
wondering how that
They were the top 2.
So, with this, what you are looking at is the cafeteria renovations, or the whole master plan? For the entire,
And renovation.
and
Or
renovation?
phase one, whichever that's determined to be.
So do they, excuse my ignorance on this, but whenever they come in and you all interview them, do any of them give any type of cost, or just their qualifications?
Just qualifications.
Just qualifications?
What you would be authorizing Robert and I to do is sit down with them to negotiate. The next step would be the cost for that design.
Gotcha, I got you.
If you're not, if we can't come to terms, then we can always go back to the next one to also have that same conversation. It's kind of what we did when we chose the architect to do the campus vestibule project for us. Remember, we had RFQ and we had a number of architects, and then we negotiated the compensation based on qualifications, experience, and so that's what we would be doing with this organization.
Do you all feel like you want to, they've made their recommendation, do you all feel as a full board that you want to move forward with this now, or do you want to do the vote at our next work session? What is the consensus among the board?
Mr. Rob, what do you do? Need it now, or should it wait till the first of the month?
Well, I would ask him that, what, as far as our timeline going to the commissioners and being able to bring with us in February, is that 2 weeks going to make that big of a difference? And it probably would, I would say, because it's going to be pushing them to get something to go with us by February, if we wait till January. So I'd say probably now. I live right in San Francisco.
I think the plan all along was to try to have one in place by January 1. So if we could act on it today, that would be beneficial. That would give us time to start some negotiation process, get some ideas of, what those percentage costs are gonna be for the master plan.
I will make a motion.
Well, I do have a question. You said the master plan for just phase one, is that what we're talking about? Or for-
It's really a two-part type thing. The first and main part is to develop 3 master plans, one for each high school. Then once those master plans are adopted and approved, then we would talk to them about contingent upon commissioner funding, I guess. Then we would talk to them about design development for the 2 cafeterias and kitchens for East Surrey and Surrey Central High School.
So we'd be getting both.
But it's all under the same umbrella, same architectural firm would be doing both. That's the way the RFQ read.
So any further expansion or enhancements to the high school campuses, we go through this process again after phase one?
I guess that's up to the board.
You can,
You could.
or you can continue with the same architect.
If we had a great experience, we could
Yeah.
just carry on with them.
Often we do continue with the same architects, just because there are continuations.
And they are laying some groundwork for further.
Yeah.
All right, have a motion by Mr. Hutchins,
Second.
second by Mr. Badgett. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, it's unanimous. Move forward.
We will contact them today, Robert.
Yes, sir.
Thank y'all for your work, appreciate your time.
Thank you. All right, next is board committees. Like we had discussed at our last meeting, I think, and everybody is in agreement, it would be beneficial for us to go to a committee structure like we had in the past. The board members that are chairs of those committees will work with Dr. Reeves to choose who is on the committees. And historically, there have been 7 committees, but I wanted to float an idea by you guys to see what you think about it. Just to try to not have so many committees, to link auxiliary committee in with finance. Because I had initially thought that we've got 5 members, let's have 5 committees. But Mr. Whitaker had mentioned to me that he would like to still see an athletic committee, and I'm fine with that, as long as he volunteers to serve on it. But,
Be careful what you.
but historically, the chair had assigned people to committees. But what I would like to do is, just like Dale had done, Mr. Badgett had done, that's, what do you all want to serve on? And I came up with Mr. Scales Finance, Mr. Hutchins Building and Grounds, Mr. Badgett Curriculum, Mr. Whitaker Safety, and also Mr. Whitaker Athletics. Now, you all tell me if that's what you like, if that's what you want to serve on, if you want to do something else, and I would do policy and personnel. So as a group, y'all tell me.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
You want to co-chair the athletic committee?
We wouldn't put so much on one.
That'd be good. Anything else that you all would like to add to it? You good with finance, Mr. Scales?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay. Mr. Hutchins, you good with building grounds?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we will start scheduling. What I'd like to see is everybody schedule a committee in January. And then you schedule them as you see fit and as Dr. Reeves feels fit. That we may need a committee meeting to discuss an issue or a topic. All right, I don't think we need a vote on that. That's just a discussion, but I think that's good. We'll move forward.
Who's gonna select committee then?
The chair of the committees will work with Dr. Reeves to come up with who you want on the committees. He's got recommendations of people that have been on committees historically in the past. You may have somebody that you want to be on there, but I just thought that would also take some workload off of Dr. Reeves for you all to come up with people that you think. just make sure we get representatives from each district on every committee. And that's it. Any questions on that moving forward?
I'll just say typically, we've always had a teacher, or I say certified classified employee structure. So we try to have a certified employee, classified employee, and administrator. We typically would pick one from each district. So you would have one from all three districts on your committee. Plus, some of these committees are specialty committees. For example, buildings and grounds, you're going to want Doug and Robert on the committee. Curriculum, you're going to want the curriculum team on the committee. Safety, you're going to want the safety director. With athletics, you want the athletic director. So so you'll have some other specialty area policy. It's just important that you probably want a principal from every level, elementary, middle, and high, because very often policies impact one differently than others. So each committee, I'll come up with a list, share it with you, maybe over Christmas break, and then you can react to that. And if you have names of people, what I've told you previously, I really see this as an opportunity for us to help our employees see kind of another side of the organization. I think it's a great learning experience. It's a great way for us to kind of build leaders. Sometimes we see people who may have aspirations of wanting to be, maybe it's a lead teacher, maybe it's something, maybe they want to be on the SIT team and have another responsibility in their school, or maybe it's an administrative career that they're thinking about. It just gives us another way to help grow our organization by selecting folks that may want to serve on these committees. Certainly we value from their expertise, the opinions help us make really good decisions.
All right. Thank you. Moving along, Gear Up grant with Appalachian State. Is Ms. Harris here?
Let me see if she's here yet.
She's going to be.
Mrs. Harris is on her way up, and I'm going to be pulling up a presentation for her while she's here.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, for the sake of time, this is an easy one. Let's move down to action item number 1, updated Board of Education meeting schedule approval. This is under action items, and the changes are removing the Board of Education work sessions that were already scheduled. And then Dr. Reeves had, I believe it was March, is that right? Had put a special call meeting on there for budget. Does anybody have any questions about those recommendations?
There's 2 additional meetings. You've got March 17th, that's a budget work session, and Mr. Hutchins, I set that on Monday.
I'll work it.
If you, okay. And then June 30th, that's our end of the year budget meeting. We went ahead and added that. As you know, we're required to have all budget amendments cleaned up before the end of the fiscal year. So I asked Dove and Audra to work together to go ahead and set that meeting. And that will be a special call meeting, and it is for the purpose of all final budget amendments.
And we typically do that around 3, 4,
Yeah.
because it's not a long
Yeah,
meeting.
it should be fairly short.
What day is June 30th?
Do you wanna-
No,
do you wanna move it?
No.
We can,
No, I
we
can
can probably
I
do 4.
got this. I got it.
Well, and I'll tell you what, well, no, we can do corrections.
Yeah, it needs to be on that last day of June too. It needs to be.
It's not like you stay long.
Yeah. Okay, all right, looking for a motion to approve the updated Board of Education meeting schedule.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Whitaker,
Second.
second by Mr. Scales. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And it is unanimous.
Thanks. You want to come in and start? I'm loading your presentation now.
It should be coming right up. I've got it on this if I need it. It's short.
You better get on board, you get missed, man.
Hello,
Hey, Miss Harris.
how are y'all?
Good, how are you?
Doing good. I have a one pager that I'm gonna share with all of you on the Gear Up grant. And you have all of the documents that we shared on the work session agenda. And, I also have hard copies of those if any of you would like a hard copy. If not, we'll get the digital copy.
Just a moment, I just got it loaded, let me get everything turned on for you.
And it's super short. I just wanted to give you a quick overview. I know that you have the digital copies of all of the documentation and documents there. And so the main things that I wanted to point out were the benefits to students and teachers of the Gear Up grant and what Gear Up is and what it stands for. And so here you can see that Gear Up is the Gaining Early Awareness and Readiness for Undergraduate Programs. It's federally funded. It's a college access program so that it helps our students be more prepared for college post-secondary. That's what it's about. So it's supposed to increase the number of students who are prepared to enter and succeed in post-secondary education immediately after high school. Gear Up aims to improve college-going mindsets, high school graduation rates, and post-secondary enrollment rates through a wide range of research-grounded services. And that's for students, families, and teachers, so I want to point that out. It's not just for students. So really quickly, the benefits of partnering with Gear Up in Appalachian State are here, and this is just I think it's just the overview of what they do for us. So our students, they get college readiness opportunities, so access to college campus visits, summer enrichment programs, and ACT test prep to prepare for post-secondary success. Whoops. I may have to go back and hit restart.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I help you?
No, it's okay. Sometimes Canva jumps ahead. And then the academic support, the virtual tutoring. So they are big proponents of tutor.com, which provides access to students at all times, 24/7, access to tutoring, STEM camps, and leadership development programs, which help students build critical skills and confidence, and then programs that are designed to ensure students that they have opportunities to succeed and thrive through just expanding access to them so that they have those opportunities. And so then for teachers, the professional development, they have access to cutting edge training and resources to enhance teaching strategies. So that's one of the areas that teachers, they ask us for all the time. Give us more strategies. We need different strategies. We're trying to engage these kids that are bored and that are just disengaged at times. How can you help us give us better strategies? Then support for classroom success, innovative teaching tools and resources to empower educators to better meet the needs of diverse learners. You all know that we have a very high population of ML learners in our county that we do need some help with at times. We also deal with rural poverty and students who have not had access to certain experiences and certain things that other kids have. So we do have students with very diverse needs. And then the collaborative opportunities are networking with professionals across districts and access to higher education experts to share strategies and best practices. So that's the big overview. And I have done a lot of research on Gear Up over the past, really over the past year, because we applied for this last year and we did not get in. So I think there has been some question like, why not? Why didn't we, or what other school districts are in it? Appalachia was awarded $35 million to provide this to school districts. And so one of the reasons that I believe we were held back, we were not a free lunch district for everybody. We are now, so that gives us an edge. I did ask about Psalms and Meadowview Magnet because they were not included last year. That was because of those data points still did not meet. They can research that for us and give us that information by Wednesday if all schools would meet, which I think they will. So that work has been done. On this one pager, you can see just the opportunities for students through the college and career readiness, academic support, leadership development, of course, empowering our families, supporting educators, and looking forward. I know there's some language in here from I'm a very conservative lens type person, so I pay attention to language, and you and I talked about that Friday. There are some verbiage in there that sometimes throws up a little bit of a red flag, but I want you to know that through researching this, like when we see the word systemic, we talked about this on Friday at Math Counts, systemic means foundational, really in its truest terms, but when people put it in front of other terms, it means something different. And so we have to be careful that when we read that language in the context of this grant, that we understand really what they mean. So when we're talking about the foundational issues in education around structure and things like that, we do have to be mindful and we have to be aware and alert to it. But also we do have to recognize that we have students who live in deep poverty who do deserve the best education they can get. And sometimes that does mean that we use words like equity when it comes to serving all students, and they get the best, not in the terms of necessarily, I'll just say social justice or something like that. That's not always what the word equity means. So I want to be real clear that I have done a great deal of research. I talked with someone today who used Gear Up, who was part of this in Wilkes County, which is a neighboring county. I thought that they had removed themselves from Gear Up. They have not. They're still involved in Gear Up, and they have not seen anything of a liberal agenda push. Nothing. Now, with that being stated, Gear Up does provide the folks that come into the schools. And so that would be something that we would want to be up on the wheel of naturally, but they have not seen anything that threw up red flags to them. What they do see is support for counselors, support for administrators, getting these kids identified who do want to go to college, ensuring that they get a great education, that they know how to fill out their FAFSA, that they know how to apply for college, get in on those early college application weeks, that they have support that sometimes in our homes, our parents, they don't know how to do that stuff, and the kids don't know how to do it. And so in homes where parents do know how to do it, kids have an advantage. So it's really more about what can we provide our kids through hands-on experiences, STEM instruction, getting them into college. Our students who would be identified to participate in Gear Up, our students who do perform well in school and who have the desire to attend a school after graduation. Of course, Appalachian, they have some skin in the game on this because they're going to come to their school. And we all know that. There's always a motive or an incentive to get involved in these kind of grants because colleges want kids to come to their school. I was telling TJ the other day, I had a daughter that went to Chapel Hill who's a pharmacist. I have two sons that went to Appalachian State. Both of my boys, they had great foundations at home. We did that in our home, and they had great experiences at Appalachian State. One teaches for us at East Surrey High School, one teaches at a private school in Winston, and they had great experiences at Appalachian. But I do know that when we talk about UNC system schools or any kind of college across the nation, we do get worried about some of those things. But I just wanted to give you some assurance that I have done a lot of research on this, and I am open to answer any questions. I've made lots of notes for myself just through the things that I have researched. You have what I have. You've got the information through the attachments. The same thing that I have knowledge of, you have it. So
You said they provide counseling resources or
no, they don't.
employees?
So they don't provide the counseling, but they do work with counselors. Like, so they can help these counselors when there's FAFSA nights. In Wilkes County, they call those step-up nights. That would be like a transition night for us, or a family event where parents can come in and get FAFSA help and FAFSA support. if you've ever filled out a FAFSA, you understand that you need some support with it because it's very challenging, it's very difficult. And I will tell you that most parents do not do it. Most parents say, forget it,
Yeah.
I'm not doing this. But our students cannot be considered for merit-based scholarships if they don't fill out that FAFSA. So it's critical that we have people that can help us support that work. And they do a lot of that. They take them on field trips to visit college campuses to see if they would be interested in certain schools. And that helps students with fit. It just helps students figure out where they want to go, what they want to do with their life, and is that a place that they could see themselves fitting in. I can tell you as a parent, when my daughter came through, she was the firstborn, I was very involved and engaged, and I was the one taking her on college trips because the high school didn't have the resources to be able to do that. But I wanted to make sure she got in the right place and was the right fit and that she knew what she was getting herself into. And she was wanting to go to a big university and study very hard field, and she did. But these folks would help us do that with our students. So they will help with those kind of things. When you think of opportunity gaps in our county, you just think about academic performance. We've talked about where we want to be. We want to be, obviously, well, we want to be number one, but we'd like to be in the top 10, top 15. We perform very well right now. Can we perform better? I mean, I always believe we can get better. Pre-K access, and then do we have kids that are chronically absent? Would this give us more support and boots on the ground to help our kids? And then just resources and workforce alignment. Are we getting our kids prepared to enter the workforce and keeping them fairly local with the university system that's in our back door that does produce students who have to have certain degrees that require a 4-year degree? And so, I think that it's a great opportunity for us as a district to get a good amount of funding. And the only responsibilities we have are in-kind support. This is no money out of our pocket to do this. So that makes it pretty attractive as well.
You knew that was gonna be my first question whenever we talked to her.
In-kind.
How much it's gonna cost?
Yeah, and I asked that question. I actually called the lady at Appalachian State last week, and I said, I want to hear it out of your mouth that there is no financial responsibility on us. We are a school that's funded 103rd out of 115 locally, and we have to know that. And she said, absolutely no financial responsibility to the school system.
We approved this process or application process last year, didn't we?
Yes,
Yeah, was last year the first time that we applied?
it was. And again, just the data points, when they talked to me about the data points, we just didn't meet that yet because they are serving schools that have, or show that they are financially struggling, poverty-rich counties that have students that do not have access to great experience like the ones that they can provide through this grant.
So we'll tier one next year will help us.
We're gonna be tier 1 next year, and that does help us as well.
Tier 1 now, right? Willis County's tier 1.
I think so.
And we're tier 2.
Yeah.
Well, Ms. Harris, I just wanted to say that I appreciate the work you've done on this, because I'm gonna be honest with you. When I see a university and systemic change and federal Department of Education, I get worried. That's me. And I try to do some research, and Ms. Harris and I had a conversation. This is not like, Dr. Rees and I had a conversation, this is not like the lab school that was at Elkin, where they lost tons and tons and tons of money. This is not that. This is a plus positive to our school district, in my opinion. Do have just a couple questions.
Sure.
So it's a 7-year grant, correct? 7-year, and these are in-kind
Yes.
obligations. They would hire these will be locally people that are hired though, out of the director. Explain that a little bit to us.
So your director and your coordinator are local hires. Now, they do send some folks in to do PD and things like that, so they provide some of that. But your Gear Up coordinator and your director positions would be hired, is my understanding, through us, our people.
Okay.
And who would hire those people?
we would hire those people.
Okay, that was my question.
And Wilkes has done that, I know.
We can hire those people and we can keep an eye on the people that are coming in.
Yeah, and you're gonna want local people doing this because they're gonna have to be positioned in our schools. And no one's gonna wanna drive from Boone every day to provide that kind of support to our people. And I think that, you know, we screen our people to know what they're doing and to know how to do it. I'll be honest with you, I looked at the SEO component of this and read into it a little bit, and the things that they are talking about here is our leadership framework. It's about awareness and critical thinking and being resilient and responsible adults, which is what we all want them to be. That didn't really alarm me. I did some further investigation through Wilkes County Schools about that for that reason, because I know that that is just a term that, you know, kind of throws up some concerns to other people. But in talking with them, they've not seen anything that would be super alarming in that area. They've not seen anything that they were worried about. I even talked with Amy Samples earlier today because she served in Wilkes County, and she said they did provide great services to their students. And basically what they'll do, they'll start with 6th and 7th graders, then it will move to 6th, 7th, 8th, then 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. So it will progress over time to where those kids are traveling and following the cohort. They're come with us.
So for public consumption, this is not a woke, DEI, liberal junk coming into Surrey County Schools. This is Surrey County Schools going out and finding creative resources in order to better serve our students.
Yes, I believe so. Again, you have exactly what I have, and you have the research that I've done, and I would never want to mislead anybody to think it's something different. I don't believe that it is anything woke. I even researched some of the affiliations that they partner with, such as Partnership Learning and Global Teacher Leadership Academies. I researched Closing the Gap Foundation, and I've looked into all of that. The Close the Gap Foundation is all individual money support. It's nonprofit. It's volunteer money, and it was started by 2 kids who had limited access, that grew up in deep poverty, low-income families that wanted an education and kind of went after it themselves. And so that's really what we want to teach our kids to do. In my opinion, we want to teach our kids to go after what they want to do for their lifetime. And we want all children to have that opportunity, not select students. We want everybody to have that opportunity. And
So what you're looking for is a consensus for us to tell them that we will participate in it, but this is not the actual signing up for it because we don't know for sure that we get it.
correct, this would just be approval for us to apply for the grant, to send in paperwork for this.
A question, one quick comment. So as a career development coordinator, I sat in an office with a college liaison, which we had to go to position about 4 years ago that we paid for, and a young lady that was from UNC Chapel Hill that was helping students with this same kind of thing.
Yes.
So what I see this is the same thing at a deeper level, but from Appalachia. I'd not rather work for somebody with Appalachian than Carolina, because I'm a state guy, so. So that's what your understanding is.
Keep biases out.
Yeah, so I tell you what, I'm looking at this, it looks to me like we're gonna target 8th, 9th, and 10th grade students who might not see themselves as college material until they can now see
Yes.
that they might be. We're doing a lot of work for our career technical education students, our career-minded students. This is something we can do for those college students. I like it.
And I just think about the kids that we really need to put our attention to, and some of the work, even this ties back to the AIG plan and what we're doing with that. We have got to make sure that when we ask a principal, how many AIG students do you have in your school, that the answer's not one, because we know that's not true. And just because kids come from homes where they may not have had experiences and educational or even just personal, that have background knowledge based on their personal experiences, where moms and dads have been able to take them and do things with them, so to where they're learning about things. We've got to ensure that all of our students have the opportunity to get the education that they need and that they deserve based on where they're at. And that's what we want to do. So I do appreciate that within the grant that it talked about, there are many different reasons that we have diverse learners. It's not just based on one reason. So I will tell you that I work some with folks from Appalachian State. I have a dear friend that works there, and she's in literacy. She's a specialist. I was a Title I reading teacher with her many, many years ago. She's very sharp, and she told me that she believes that this is a great program, and you know, if at any time we get uncomfortable with it, we could certainly have a sit down and a conversation if there's anything that ever happened that we would be uncomfortable with. Because again, you have what I have. I've done some extra digging and research and tried to give you the answers that I knew that you would be interested in hearing, that were truthful,
I
based on
appreciate
what,
that.
based on what I've
I
researched.
see, I
appreciate it.
looked on the website and this Appalachian program, your program, and I didn't see, when I went through several screens looking, you know, just to
Sure.
make sure it was something that I was sound with, and I didn't see anything that alarmed me.
I deep dived.
And other programs that Appalachian has too, looked at, so.
All right. Any, gentlemen, anything else to say on this?
So one question I will have is, as far as the funding process goes, obviously we're looking at a 7-year grant. Is some of the funding coming up front, or are we gonna have to front the cost for some of this?
So that's a great question, and that's something that we'll have to dig a little bit deeper in, and Audra will have to help us with that. Because my understanding with, when I spoke to her, was that we would get the money for startup. So we will have to work with Audra on that before we file anything on Wednesday, that we can get confirmation from them for that response. But I know that's what they told us last year when we applied, that they give you that chunks of that money as you go to get started. They know that, I mean, part of the reason they're inviting us to do it is because we are a county who needs support.
The
And
money goes up a little
A
each
little
year
bit.
because you're bringing in new grade levels.
Right.
yeah,
Next year, it's just be middle school, so the counselors at the high school really won't be.
right,
But then they will be, so each year,
it
the
expands a
money,
little.
the money goes up.
And the site director, looks like it's gonna be a portion of somebody's duties, but a coordinator's gonna be a full one FTE, one person,
That's correct.
so, okay.
All right. Gentlemen, do we have a general consensus to allow them to proceed?
Go for it.
You could run for president and Mr. Bledsoe vote for you. You said those two words that are most important to him, no cost.
They're important to all of us.
You did a good job, 'cause-
Yeah, I'd
and
say
you
no
knew
cost.
that I was gonna deep dive that,
Yeah.
and you did a good job.
Well, I
appreciate
expect
that.
you to, I expect you all to deep dive it. I can't be the only one with two eyes on things.
I appreciate
Right,
it.
and so I appreciate your support, but
Thank you.
I do want everybody to deep dive in on this. I mean, this is what we're doing for our kids, and it needs to be right. So I appreciate
Thank you.
you too.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, moving forward.
It says approve it in the agenda, so I think it wouldn't hurt to
Well, we get, okay, motion by
So do we
Mr.
wanna
Wood.
wait till January? Is it time sensitive?
Well, let's go ahead and just,
Just hit
we got a
me.
motion by Mr. Whitaker,
Second.
second by Mr. Badgett. All in favor, please say aye. 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 All opposed? None?
She had to file by Wednesday, didn't she say?
Yeah.
Because it actually just came out, like,
Yes.
the other day.
We have it in.
Yeah, we've got to let them know by Wednesday. So that letter of support, I think we've got to submit it on Wednesday.
Okay.
All right, down to 302, graduation dates approval. And that will be Dr. Reeves.
So board members, in front of you, you see the document. This is, we talked to our high school principals, and these are the proposed graduation dates on the calendar. We don't typically put these dates out specifically, so here we go. Tuesday, May 20th, Surrey Early College. That involves the gym, or the Surrey Community College, and we have that in their gym, and so we need to go ahead and set that date. In the past, we've separated the high schools so that friends and families could attend all three if they want, just at different times. And so what we're proposing, and I have vetted this with the high school principals, on Thursday, May 22nd, Surrey Central will graduate at 7 p.m. At the Rex Mitchell Track and Field on the new turf. Certainly that will be a welcome sight. Don't have to talk about any contingency plans unless it rains. And we certainly hope it will not rain. This is a change. North Surrey would like to graduate on Friday, May 23rd at 9 a.m. and in the Charles Atkins Stadium. Surrey Online Magnet School at 3 p.m. in the Surrey County Service Center, and East Surrey High School at 7 p.m. at Dave Diamond Field there in Pilot Mountain. So we've got 3 in one day, and noting that is Memorial Day weekend. I think that was part of the change on the North Surrey, from the North Surrey faculty, seeing that they wanted to move that up a day. I think the 9 a.m. start is advantageous for multiple reasons, especially traffic. That's usually our one of our largest graduations at our schools. So those are the proposed dates. Vetted that with principals, presenting it to you for your approval.
So make a motion. Do we accept it?
Okay. Motion by Mr. Hutchins,
Second.
second by Mr. Batch. Any discussion? I like those. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. There you go. I like the idea of those two on Friday. Gives you a whole weekend.
Yeah.
3 on Friday.
3 on Friday, I'm sorry. Okay. Now down to the R&R fund distribution request approval.
This is just a simple approval by the board members. We have approximately $1.2 million in our lottery funds in repair and renovation. This is kind of a special set aside that the General Assembly has set. We will see reoccurring funds to the tune of, it's based on a percentage. I think we're seeing somewhere between $400,000 and $500,000 a year going into this fund. We have what we're proposing, and you've done all the work, the legwork on the safety vestibules. So the work that you approved last board meeting with the low bid, this is the money to pay for that work, and it's coming out of the R&R funds, and we have to request this funding from the state level, and it has to have the board chair's signature and the county commissioner chair's signature. So this is the form that kind of sets that in motion. What you have on this form is you have $31,000. Those are the design fees up to that amount. Then you have the construction on the facility improvements. If you remember, I believe the contract total was right at $906, and we have added a 10% contingency, so that's how we come to that $1,472,000
To be held by us.
to be held by us, plus the $31,000. So you're requesting out of your $1.2 million in R&R funds, $1,031,472. So I've talked to Laura Neely. She's got this on the commissioner's agenda for January 6th. If we go ahead and approve it today, then I can send this to her tomorrow, and they'll have this information for their approval to get this process started.
Is it July when those funds are ready, or back in the new account?
I believe it's quarterly.
Quarter.
I believe it's quarterly, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
All right, gentlemen, looking for a motion.
A quick question. And we can't legally sign a contract with the contractor until we've got this approved, because we don't have the funds. I make a motion we
Okay.
approve this distribution request.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Badger,
Second.
second by Mr. Scales. Any further discussion? All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Okay. All right, I believe that was our last item. Now we will move into closed session, and let me read the, there we go. All right. Board of Education will enter into closed session for the following reason: to prevent the disclosure of information that is privileged or confidential under state or federal law, including but not limited to North Carolina General Statute, subsection 115C 319, and General Statute 115C402 pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A1, actually A5, to consider the qualification, competence, performance, character, fitness, conditions of appointment, or conditions of initial employment, or individual public officer, employee, or prospective public officer or employee pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.1A6. Looking for a
I
motion.
move we go into closed session.
Motion from Mr. Whitaker,
I'll second that.
second by Mr. Scales. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are now in closed session.
Thank you.